Okay, we should probably get started, folks. We've got a few announcements, and we'll start with a really special announcement. Dr. Allison Werner has joined our staff, and we really welcome her. And Allison grew up in North Andover, Massachusetts, and for about the last 12 years, she went to college at the University of Rochester, where she majored in biology and psychology. And then she trained in medical school at SUNY Upstate Rochester. And then she also did her residency there with a really exceptional residency training director, John Manring, who came and talked to us once before and is going to come to join us again this fall. He's going to come and give a grand rounds. He's one of the leading educators in the country, and he thinks extremely highly of Dr. Werner, and he said he was also really glad she decided to come and work with us because he likes, Liza, me, our program, and so he feels like even though they had to let her go from their program, she's coming to kind of like a sister program that they value too. So we feel really pleased to have Dr. Werner here with us, and maybe people could go around and just introduce themselves and where they work. Dr.Sabo, Chair, Program Director.
Sherry Ryan Mann, Social Worker, Nikki Smith.
Hi.
Hi.
Julie Grace, Nurse Psychologist.
John Funk, Resident.
Lydia Weidman.
Don Trillingham, a consultant in the department in the EAP program.
John Harrington, clinical psychologist with the PCOT.
Jump across to see AJ.
Yep, I'm the medical student, AJ Piper.
Liza Bauman. Linda Boston.
Back.
Hi, Kathy Quinn from Navy. Susan Emerson. Gita Sharma. I'm a resident currently in occupations. I'm from the employer.
Matt James, medical student.
I'm a chief medicine. Eliana Marcus, psychiatrist.
Great. Well, welcome. So welcome, Allison. It's great to have you here. Second thing I wanted to say is that we've really had a couple of wonderful efforts by AJ and Matthew, who at 4 o'clock today are going to have a special presentation. I had something wrong in what I sent out yesterday. AJ wants to go over one of the really classic papers, The Anatomy of a Suicide, written by Havens, which every time you look at that thing, you learn something new. And I love to see AJ's analysis of it. And then Matthew's going to review some psychopharmacology and ECT for suicidal states, which again, we want to make sure everybody understands. So at 4 o'clock today in Psych Conference Room, number 1, any of you can make it. There'll be a very special couple of presentations. I'd love to have as many of you come as who can. And also really appreciate the work that both AJ and Matthew did while they were here. Really big efforts, and appreciate it. The next thing I want to just say, the JACO work was fantastic. That everybody did a great job. The units did well. McGee had a completely, what do they call it, citation-free performance, and that's amazing. So thanks to everybody, the nursing staff, the leadership of Brenda Bonson, other program directors, all of you who work so hard. We had a fantastic site survey by JACO, so congratulations. And then, Brenda, would you want to say something about the psychiatry renovations and where we are with that, the plan about that?
Yeah,
Just update people.
I don't have anything new. Hopefully I tried to get as many, of the paper letters out to people as possible, but for anybody who didn't receive one, Alex and I learned a few weeks ago from Diane Kelly that she and the senior leadership for EMC had earmarked a significant sum of money for us to do some renovations in the department. That will include Jones 2, Jones 3, PCOT, partial. So anybody who's been, outside the Department of Psychiatry knows that other parts of the hospital are significantly more fancy or up to date in the renovations, and so we will be beginning to, I think the architects will be back in a few weeks. They were verifying some drawings they had a few weeks ago, and they'll be coming back to speak with us about our ideas about how we could optimize the space that we do have. We've, over the years, kind of expanded to fill some available space, and we have some kind of, rabbit warren sort of situations, and we'll be able to, maybe make some changes to some of those spots where, you're walking through someone's office to get into your office, that kind of thing, as well as maybe, change the number of interview rooms we have on inpatient units, things like that, so I don't really have anything
Yeah.
new since we went on vacation, Alex, but that's,
Okay. And it's a once in a lifetime
It is.
chance for us to kind of try to improve the space, and you guys know what it's like working in it. So we want to get input and see what the architects can do for us. So we'll be excited. It'll be a little tough going for a while we pull it off, but when we're done, we should have something a lot better than what we've got. So great moment. Thanks, Brenda.
Thanks.
Yeah. So I'm going to launch into what I'm kind of excited about, what I'm going to present to you today. And it's kind of like I'm trying to share with you the method in my madness, okay? And what I want to do is, I gave you a more complex handout than what we're going to cover today. But I put in there a bunch of stuff that I'm trying to teach in little pieces about working clinically in a certain way, and what are some of the landmarks in that effort, okay? And so in the handouts, there's more stuff that I'm going to cover today, but what we're going to cover today is essentially this. I'll go over what the goals are here, and then I'll show you about it. Then I wrote on here, what do I mean by finding the person and the patient? And that is, how do you find something that's alive in the person you're working with, so that you find something in that person both emotionally and cognitively about their experience at that moment, and you let them know you're on the same page with them, and then you begin to develop treatment goals and a map together, and you explore that together. That's what I mean by being a jungle guide. That's what I mean by working off a shared map. In order to do that, you have to have a theory of affect, feeling, emotion, mood, and empathy. And I've tried to explore that in various ways by working through the contributions of Sylvan Tompkins about core affects, and really trying to define precisely what we mean by each of those terms. We're then going to look at something else that I talk to you about a lot, which is the domains of information that flow at you when you're in a psychotherapeutic encounter. And that comes from the psychodynamic tradition and was elucidated by Carl Menninger many years ago in a sort of triangle of information. I'm going to show you that. And so you're thinking about, what domain am I working in? I'm always touching with you, I say there's 4 ways we heal. We heal, I take that from Havens, existentially, as fellow passengers to the grave, as Charles Dickens wrote in Christmas Carol. We're all fellow passengers to the grave going through life. How are we one human to another? The biologic descriptive school, which is one of the powerful schools of psychiatry that comes to us from Kreiplin. The interpersonal school that comes from Harry Stack Sullivan, and that we're always creating social fields and interact with each other, and we have as many personalities as we have individual relationships, is what Harry Stack Sullivan said. So we work in those 3 schools, and then we have, what's the 4th one in there? Interpersonal, biologic, descriptive, existential, the psychodynamic. The idea that the powerful relationships you have when the world is fresh, the emotional relationships with moms, dads, siblings, other important people in your life, create a feeling state and cognitions that once were experienced, but now they're forgotten. And it's what Freud meant when he said there will always be the return of the repressed. What you once knew is now coming alive, but in quiet ways that you don't understand, influencing your thoughts and feelings in the current. Okay, so those are the 4 powerful schools of healing. And what we're going to talk about today is one of my heroes of the existential psychodynamic field. Now, he doesn't call himself psychodynamic, but he really comes from that school too, and that's Leslie Greenberg. So Leslie Greenberg developed emotion-focused therapy for depression out of psychotherapy process research. If you study what's happening in the dyad of psychotherapies, you begin to understand the markers of deep emotional experience. And his argument is that the flow of information from the outer world, particularly aroused information, goes to the amygdala so quickly on what Joe Ledoux, a psychologist who studied the emotional brain, said is the low road, the fast road to the amygdala, that information colors your perception of the high road, which goes information flowing to the cortex. So in order to really meet what Jerome Frank explained to us many years ago in Persuasion and Healing, when he tried to look at the common elements of psychotherapies, whatever the school, cognitive behavioral, psychodynamic, interpersonal, whatever the school, existential, he said when you study the best therapists with 10 to 20 years of experience, there are certain things that they all do. They form a powerful alliance with their patients. They have a high level of emotional arousal in the psychotherapy, and the predictors of outcome are, did they get to a level of emotional intensity in the therapy? And did they have a strong alliance where they agreed on goals? And when those things happened, they were able to restore hope and create lasting changes. And that stuff that they did was more powerful than the differences in their concepts that they worked from. That when you actually studied them, the more advanced therapists looked more alike than the people who were early in training in, let's say, psychodynamic CBT. So I'm going to show you today, I'm going to show you a couple of the roadmaps that I'm always talking to you about and illustrate it with about 28 minutes of an interview with one of the best therapists I've ever met and worked with, Leslie Greenberg. And I'm going to tell you about what he's doing there, because you hear me yap about it all the time, but he's showing you. And what I'm going to talk to you about is I want to show you the way, I ask you a lot of times when we're in multidisciplinary rounds, is this person's personality organization according to the Kernbergian concepts of the strength of the self and the psychological defenses used from Kernberg. You can look in there in your handouts, it'll explain it more. But is the person at a neurotic level of organization, like most of us? Are they at a borderline level of organization, like many of our patients? Or are they at a psychotic level of organization, even when their Axis 1 disorder is totally tuned up? Okay? And the reason I ask you that is because there's going to be certain degrees of difficulty more in your treatments and your treatment planning depending on where that person's psychologically organized. When we get in the area of the borderline organizations, one of the key missing features before they get treatment is a soothing introject. Some voice within them that when they're alone and feeling badly says to them, look, you just screwed up, but you're going to be okay. All right? They don't have that voice. And that's why they have such a hard time being alone, and they get anxious, and they do all kinds of dramatic things that sometimes endear them to us and sometimes drive us crazy. So what he's going to do in this session, I'm going to show you a session where Greenberg, who's developed this theory of trying to figure out how to work deeply emotionally, and he does two types of things. For the neurotic patients, he tries to deepen emotional experiencing. And for the people who have trouble with affect regulation, like the patients with bipolar disorders and borderline personalities, he tries to teach them emotional regulation and not letting it just, ramp up. Why does he do this? Because you get better information, and that's what Liza and Don and I are trying to teach everybody in the interviewing seminar. Your quality of your information is better as you get deeper into the limbic system. Okay, so that's kind of roughly what I put in your handout in various ways. But I'm just going over so you can give me credit afterwards. You'll be able to find the person and the patient. That's what I mean. By doing that, I mean you look for the person as a person, a unique human being, find their values and interests. That's the person and the patient. And when I'm working with a theory of affect, I'm trying to teach people to look for the shame, pride, access in them. So as you observe a person you're talking to, what makes them feel proud? They put back their shoulders, they hold up, they've done something competent in the world. You admire and appreciate that, and you see it, it looks kind of like this, when you're proud, okay? When you feel ashamed, your eyes go down, you curl up in a ball, and you want to melt away and not be seen. The self exists there, this thing that we're trying to find and work with and enlist as our ally, okay? That's how to find it, okay? So you watch that. You could turn off a tape, and I can tell you where we can find the self by watching when the person goes like this in the interview, and when they look down like that, I say, there, we've got to find the self there. If you add to that the simple projective, the little Rorschach TAT you hear me say sometimes in clinical interviewing, if you died and came back as an animal, what would you most want to be and why? And if you died and came back as an animal, what would you least like to be and why? That goes with it as another kind of construction of the self, the idealized self and the feared self. Okay, so I use those just clinically so that within a few seconds I can find the person, and I'm trying to enlist them as an ally, whether I'm doing psychopharmacology, any type of psychotherapy I'm doing, or crisis intervention. That's what I'm trying to do. All right, so we've got that. All right, once you've located the self like that, then you develop the shared map and you become co-investigators on your project. All right. Now, we talked about Greenberg and why he likes Ledoux's low road to the amygdala. It's where the fast stuff goes. And then what Greenberg does in his work is that he identifies self-states and the emotions connected to them. And when he finds one or two of those in conflict within a person, he moves them into what he calls two-chair dialogues, to have these different parts of themselves talk to themselves, and he decides whether he needs to deepen emotional processing, which he does in two ways, by getting them to feel what they're feeling in their body, or to express that self-state. And when he gets to a deep enough level, then he says, you've got 10 minutes to help construct a new narrative that will be connected to the limbic system at a level that's workable. So he's got a very efficient way of doing psychotherapy. What I'm going to show you today in what his work is with a middle-aged woman who's got a bipolar disorder. She's married. She's got 3 children. The early trauma of her life was that her father, she felt very close to. He had either schizophrenia or a schizoaffective disorder and an alcohol problem. And at a young age, somewhat young age, I don't know exactly when he died, but he got killed in a train accident. And she never knew, did he suicide or did he die by accident? But she lost this important person in her life. When she was small, sometime I think between about 8 and 12, her mother was going through some kind of difficult period and gave her to her grandparents to take care of her. And her grandparents, though they were lovely people, weren't emotionally close to her, didn't understand her as well, so she always felt a little bit abandoned by her mother. And then she had 2 marriages, both to alcoholic men. She divorced the first one, and she's contemplating at the time of this depressive episode, in which Greenberg's giving her a 6-session treatment for depression. She's contemplating whether he's identifying at the moment that we're going to look in on the therapy. It's the 4th of 6 sessions. He's going to, the moment in the experience is when the self-states he's identified are a state that's kind of logical and saying, look, I got to take care of my 3 kids. There are some good qualities to my alcoholic husband. Financially, it'll be better in my interest that we don't separate. But, you know, I've had it with this guy, and he can get abusive when he's drinking, and I'm going to get rid of him. And there's a part of her that feels very hopeless and depressed, like there's no way out of this mess, which is her life. Okay? And so when I talked about that idea of Menninger that I was going to tell you about at the beginning, Menninger created a triangle. I put it in your handout. But his triangle for the way information flows at somebody in psychotherapy is along 3 domains. Domain 1, where we usually work, is the real life now. So this woman's real life now, she's married to their second husband who's got an alcohol problem, and they're fighting, and she's got 3 kids to take care of that she's deeply committed to, and she doesn't want the generational process of trauma in her family be transmitted to her children. That's kind of domain 1. Domain 2 down here is the return of the repressed, those things that are deeply embedded in all of us about our relationships with the important people in our life from our childhood, infancy and childhood, the feelings, the thoughts that are now put away. So that's down here. And then over here is the dyadic experience. What Harry Stack Sullivan meant when he said the psychiatric history is a wonderful act of human fiction. We make it up. We ask certain questions, patients give us certain answers, we write it down on paper, and you've got a fiction there. The real history is Otto Will, his analyzand, used to say to us at Austin Riggs when I was training. Otto Will said that the real history, you don't even have to ask it, just sit in the room with the person and they'll begin to teach you the history when they engage your limbic system with theirs, and then all that's been repressed will begin to be communicated in the emotional experiences that occur in that dyadic field. So you always have 3 choices when you're working psychotherapeutically. Am I going to work at the level of problem solving in the here and now, over here? Am I going to work or make a statement about what's coming up from the deeper experiences that are largely unconscious? Or am I going to work in this domain about what's happening between me and my patient in the session? So that's what's going on. And the thing I'm going to show you, I'd say Greenberg is mainly working in here and then down here in a dyadic relationship. And what he's trying to do this day is he's identified 2 states. And the 2 states he's identified, and I'm going to bring you in at this moment, a state that's depressed in this woman and says, I'm just going to give up, the situation's hopeless. And then he's got another state where he said, I really should try to make a go of this. There's some logical reasons. So he had her speak from the logical reason place, and he's going to have her switch over to now the depressed place. And then as he gets into the depressed place, you'll see her pain increase. And now he's finding the information he needs to help her. And what emerges is some grief work to do with her father who died. And then can he try to solidify that lost father as a soothing introject? So I want you to watch this and we'll talk a little bit about it. Okay? So that's it. And it's all sort of in your handout. We'll jump over it. So I'll skip this PowerPoint thing because I just explained it without it. All right.
it's not time yet.
Okay.
Got a lot invested, you got the baby. Not quite ready to give up yet. But
Change.
it's good.
Yeah.
Some good.
Change. Yeah, like, yeah, there's some, it's not all good even here.
Right.
Okay, so take a breath first. Now what's this voice, right? What do you actually, when she says all these things?
It's like when you're going through all those emotional outbursts,
When I'm going.
when I'm going through all those emotional outbursts,
I feel.
the drinking, the putting me down, calling me crazy, just saying all the same things that I went through before. I'm ready to give up. I know that I'm being abused emotionally and mentally, not physically. It's abuse. And the kids are experiencing and witnessing some of it. They feel the tension. And what kind of examples are you showing them? Even though I talk to them and tell them that what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, they still are learning from the behavior that's going on in the house. And so that bothers me, and I just want to cut that loose before they end up little damaged individuals and go into unhealthy relationships.
Yeah.
So, I mean, part of it, a lot of it is wanting to protect them. But I want to protect myself because I feel myself getting sick. I feel like I'm losing weight. I don't eat like I should. I have a hard time sleeping. The other night, you went to bed at 6:30 in the morning and you got up at 8.
Like you actually talk to Carlos now, or to about
I'm talking
yourself?
to myself.
Oh, okay, yeah, right.
I went through that before. I had insomnia for 6 months.
Yeah,
I could go on days without sleeping.
yeah.
I don't want to get like that again.
Right, so it's sort of like,
Because I'm in school.
yeah. I'm
going to get myself sick.
Yeah.
That's not
So
fair to me.
what do you want from her? The voice that says, hold on, try to give it more of a chance. What's happening?
Just hurt.
I'm hurt, yeah. Of course. I hurt so much.
It's just a lot of pain.
Yeah. Try and give voice to the pain. I guess this is the pain you want to go away.
I don't know what I've done to keep getting hurt.
This way. Yeah.
I try.
I try so hard to make it work. And I just then
Keep ending up hurt.
keep ending up.
Miserable.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm making my children unhealthy.
Yeah. It's bad for
It's
them.
not just me that I worry about.
Yeah.
I worry about my kids a lot.
Yeah.
Because I've been through so much. And I deal with my mental illness, and I struggle to do things, and I don't want them to be like, to experience what I've experienced.
So a lot of it is I want to protect them, right? I'll just bring the cleaners.
It's not about him, it's about how I feel, what my children are affected.
Yeah.
It's sad that things are this way between us.
Between you and him, but it's sad because of what it's doing to the kids.
And to me.
Yeah, to me, yeah. But also it's like, I don't know why.
I feel really confused. Like last week, I had the same feelings that I had when I was sick, that I want to run away. And it always happens, well, at one point it was happening, I was like this every day, but at night, I felt an overwhelming feeling to get up and just leave.
Yeah.
Just don't even know where I'm going, just leave. I did not want to be in the house. I didn't know who to call, who to talk to. I don't want to call my mom because I don't want her to start turning towards my husband, especially if I stay with him.
You don't want to turn against him, sort of. You know?
Right.
It's like I'm only able to reach out for support when I'm sort of ready to know
Right.
that I'm going to leave.
I wanted to
almost.
call him to get him to understand, look what I'm going through.
Yeah.
And I did call and I tried to talk to him, but I just couldn't because he's creating a problem.
Yeah, you can't talk to him.
Right.
But it's like I'm hurting so much inside. I really want to talk to somebody.
I needed to talk to somebody, but I didn't know who to call. I wanted to go to the hospital and stay.
Yes.
I was just in such a, I was like that for 2 days.
Really, yes.
And then I kind of just got through it and was able
So
to
how did
move on.
you,
a little.
yeah.
How did I get through it?
Yeah.
I guess I just kind of just like did some deep breathing and
Yeah,
relaxed
yeah.
myself.
Yeah, so that's
That to give me, to get to at least stay home.
to sort of,
to bring me
I see,
down.
yeah, rather than to run.
Right, to
just
run.
sort of calm down.
Right.
So that's very important, yeah.
Right, because I used to, wherever I go, I feel the same way because I went through this before.
Yeah.
I was
So
constantly,
even if I run, I'll still feel
Yeah.
this sense of, yeah.
Right.
And what is it that you feel inside this?
I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I don't want any more responsibility.
Yeah, I just want to give up
Yeah, I want to give up and,
and not have to cope anymore.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know why the feeling of fleeing is so strong. I still don't understand it.
Exactly, yeah, yeah. Yeah, but I guess your body just wants to
It's real,
move, right?
yes.
And it's the feeling of getting away because
Right.
I'm afraid that bad things are happening.
And then I can't sleep, you know, so
Yeah.
it's always on my mind, just constantly.
Yeah. Now, are you taking, I mean, you are on some medication. right?
Difficult.
Yeah, but this is not a sleeping,
No.
right?
At one point I was on sleeping pills, but even with the sleeping medication, I still couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
And the doctors would just say, oh, you just need to calm down, you need to learn how to handle your stress, you have to let go of your stress. So I was taking sleeping pills, I was on Xanax, I was on Remeron, I was on Zoloft. This was before they found out I was bipolar.
Yeah.
I was taking all these medications that can help you sleep,
Yes.
and they had me taking them at night, so I could sleep.
Mhm.
But even with all my medication and a sleeping pill, I still couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
But they just said that I had so much stress,
Yeah.
so
yeah.
much stress. And if I did go to sleep, I'd fall asleep about 6:30 in the morning, but I had to be up at 8 to get
Yeah.
the kids ready for school.
Yeah. But so what you were able to do this time was really breathe and kind
Right.
of regulate and calm down.
And get some sleep.
And get some sleep, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, last time when I asked you to put your father there, the idea is somehow this has been a source of real nurture to you. This has been the one person who's understood.
Yeah.
It's almost, I don't know if you can use that
My
as
dad
a
is a tool.
sort of a tool, you know, as a source of understanding and as a more comforting image. Or I don't know if that would work.
Well, my dad was always, when I was with my ex-husband when my father passed away, but
Yes.
it just seemed like he would always call when I was, it's like he was in such connection
He
with
knew,
me.
yeah,
And
yeah.
he knew just in my tone of voice, and he just knew.
Yeah.
And he would call, and I would not be, I guess, myself.
Right.
And he would be like, well, what's wrong? And he would talk to me good things, you know. Try to get me to understand my husband's side of,
Right.
you know, what he means, well, blah, blah, blah. Just try to keep me going.
Yeah.
And it was just so weird how that always
Happened at
was
the right
there.
time, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, but this is why, you know, you said that last time, you know, and I mean, he's there for you, right?
Right.
And now you have him inside of you.
I had a dream about him last night.
Oh, yeah. What?
It's kind of hard to remember right now
Uh-huh.
because I was woke up by Carlo. Because he was leaving for work.
And what was the feeling in the dream?
I felt really close to him, like I was with him. And it kind of, it really upset me that he woke me up because I was with my dad.
I see, so broke that
He did,
connection. Yeah.
because I used to get those dreams a lot. My dreams actually kind of went through stages because my father was tragically killed.
Yes.
So my dreams were not really good at first, and they were weird. They went through stages, and then it got to a point where I was with him, and I felt like I was just in his presence.
Yeah.
And that's what I had last night, and I don't get them as often.
I see. And so that's a wonderful soothing
Yeah, that's
thing,
what I
right?
felt.
So it sounds like you were able to work through the tragic loss, but somehow to take in the good parts and this
Right.
deep feeling of connection. So I think this is a very important way that you can help soothe yourself and sort of calm you.
Mhm.
It's a resource and a strength of yours, right? When you're feeling this overwhelmed.
Just talk to my dad.
Yeah, or just, if you can imagine this presence
Right.
and like the feeling in the dream. And so it sounds like that's happening in the dream too, right?
Yeah.
That he's there with you and
Yeah.
it's nurturing and it's kind of...
Yeah, because he's been on my mind a lot lately.
Yeah. But so this is what you need, right? This kind of
I think so.
soothing, calming, and you need to be able to hold yourself.
I need a non-judgmental voice or someone I feel like that I can talk to. I can talk to my mom, but my mom is just really aggressive.
So, yeah, you've said
She
that.
doesn't mean to be, but
Right.
she can give good advice now. She tries to get me to read the Bible and follow like some scriptures to give me strength because it works
Yes.
for her.
Yes.
And I actually kind of turned that way when I was going through my divorce with my ex-husband.
Yes.
That really became like a shield or power for me. It kept me, it helped me.
So this is another way
Another
of getting
way.
strength and...
I just have to get to that point, and I haven't gotten to that point here yet, where it's just like I'm just totally focusing on it. I think right now, school is a release.
Yes.
Spending time with my children, and then, when like I said, I had this connection with my dad last night.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do, it didn't even have anything to do with what's going on
No,
in my
I
relationship.
understand,
It was just the
but-
fact that I was in his presence. And I felt like I was with him, interacting.
Yeah.
And I was just disturbed from my dream and didn't feel like I got what I needed to get from it. And that really upset
Upset
me.
me, yeah.
It was like at 4:30 in the morning, he was leaving for work, and so he woke me up and it just
Yeah.
kind of made me mad.
So can we go back, maybe get from the dream what you were getting?
I can't remember the dream.
But come over here.
Okay.
if you will. And be your father. And just give her that feeling of your presence. And my sense I'm getting is I'm here with you.
Yeah. That's basically what it is.
Yes, right. I know, and it's almost like I know you're going through a
Right,
difficult
exactly.
time.
It's like I know you're going through something and you're confused. You're probably where you were a while back when when I was alive.
Yeah.
And just want to let you know that I'm still here. You can still talk to me.
Yes.
And I'm not going to give you answers. I'm not trying to give you answers. I'm just trying to be the comfort that you're seeking right now.
Yeah.
You know that just like before, when I sensed something was wrong, I would call or take you somewhere or, try to do something to lift your spirits. And I can still trying to do that for you.
Right.
Still trying to do that for you. I mean, there's a place that you can go to in yourself and I'm always right there.
Yeah. So can you actually do it for her? Comfort her. There's the distress, there's all this going on.
I'm still my dad.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this voice in you, that's him, and what is it? The soothing, comforting. You're not alone.
Just take it easy.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. He would always tell me, take it easy. You're trying to do too many things.
Uh-huh.
It's you know, just the situation with Carlo in itself. You know, Carlo is his own person. He's gonna do, and he's gonna be who he is. But you have to take care of yourself.
Right.
Because you're gonna get sick again. And I want you to end up like me. It's just a feeling that I'm getting. It's just like I can just talk to him.
Yes.
There's no answers.
No. It's more the soothing.
Yeah, it's like just I'm here.
It's like I'm here,
Even,
and you'll be able to hold together, or you'll be able to just not be so afraid. You'll be okay, or something like that. You'll survive.
yes, definitely. Survive.
Right.
That's like so important
Yeah.
because my dad didn't think he could make it, I think.
Yeah.
And sometimes I get like, I don't think I can make it.
Yeah, I understand.
And I don't want to, I know what it feels like to lose a parent tragically.
Yeah.
I don't want my children
To suffer that.
to suffer that
Wow.
same.
Yeah. But it's like just breathe, and I'm here with you, and you'll
Right.
survive. Because
It's like, I feel like I don't have anybody to hold me up.
Yes.
And
yes.
I guess my father is that strength that's holding me up.
Yeah.
And it's within me,
Yes.
you know.
Right.
I don't have like an outside source, even though my mom is there and I can count on her.
Right.
It's not the same.
No, I understand. Because he can serve that sort of soothing function
Right,
and that
exactly.
calming.
And I don't have it from Carlo at all.
Right.
I feel like I'm holding him up all the
Yeah,
time. And I'm
yeah.
tired. I feel like I've held him up, my ex-husband, and the
Yeah.
other relationship that I had before Carlo. Those are like my three most
Yes.
serious relationships. I feel like I was
You're
always the one
Right.
pushing them to do better, to be better, you know, like getting Carlo to understand with the drinking, he can be a better person, and, you know, with the work, and just encouraging him, and I don't get that back.
Right, and you need that.
I only got it from my dad, and my mom does encourage me. I can say she's encouraging. She tells me that I've made many advances, and she's proud of me and things like that. But it's just different coming from my dad.
Yeah.
So I guess it's always, he's always there at the right moment.
Yeah. So tell her this, I'm here.
I'm here.
for you, and I'll be there when you need me.
I'll be there when you need me, and you can come to that place within yourself and always have that strength.
Yeah.
Always. It's always there. It's never gone. When you feel like there's nothing left, when you want to leave, when you have no more energy, no more strength, you can always come to that place within yourself, and that's where I am. That's where I am. And it's like I'll be right there next to you.
Say this again.
It's like I'm right there next to you.
Yeah.
You know, rubbing your back, or, you know.
Yeah. What happens inside?
Remembering
Remembering
when he was there.
there, yeah. Change, come on. Tell her, I remember.
I do remember when you were there.
And tell him how it was, or what.
It felt really good.
Yeah.
There was nobody else that could bring me to a comfort place like you did.
Mhm.
And I miss that. I miss the physical.
Yeah, yeah.
I miss
understand that.
being able to, I still do things for my dad. I still take balloons and my dad liked pinwheels. He used to
Yeah,
bring, I was
yeah.
grown, he'd bring me pinwheels. I mean, these, because the spring was coming.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I buy those for him and I put them on his grave because he's he's buried near the street.
Yes.
And so I can drive past and see the little pinwheels
I see.
moving.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So tell him I still,
I haven't forgot any of it.
yeah.
A lot of things that you taught me, I'm trying to pass that on to my kids.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
I mean, you did so much, you showed me, so you took me to things that I probably never would experience, all kinds of plays and variety shows and just, not just me, he also did it. He only knew one of his grandchildren, which is my oldest daughter. He only knew her. None of the others were born. And I tried to talk about him and tell him that the reason I do some of the things I do is because of the things he showed me.
Tell him.
A lot of the things that I do, even now as an adult, are memories of what you did with me, and I knew what kind of feelings they brought me, and I try to do those with my children.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And bring them those same feelings.
I have taken so much in from you.
Most of almost everything.
Everything, right.
Almost everything
Yeah.
is the experiences my dad gave me. And he probably didn't even, because of his own illness and his depression, because of your own depression and your own illness, you felt like nobody loved you, and I feel like that.
Yes.
You felt like people ridiculed you and teased you and always put you down, but you always knew that I was that one person that was there for you, and
Yeah.
you didn't feel that from. And that's how I feel, I guess, the same way. You were that one person, and you're still that one person that I want to get my comfort from.
I loved you and I know you loved me.
I still love my dad.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Tell him
I love you, Dad.
Right.
Yeah, I do.
And I know you love me.
And I know you love me
And
more
you're
than
there for
anything.
me when I need you.
And you're still there when I need you. Still.
Yeah. And so tell him, if you will, I'll come to you when I need you. Does that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can draw on you. What I'm feeling.
Right. I'll come to you when I'm down and depressed and feel hopeless. Even when I'm happy.
Mhm, yeah,
Because
it's
I like to
both.
still share experiences
Yeah.
that I have with you. He's always on my mind. He's just
Yeah,
always
yeah,
there.
yeah. And it's like actually you're saying, and right now I'm feeling quite down and sort of hurting.
Yes.
And I'm
Pulling strength from you.
pulling strength from you, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're saying, I don't know yet what I'm going to do with Carlos.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right. But I know I've just got to sort of
Work through it.
first maybe hold myself together.
That's probably the most important thing.
Right.
That is the most important thing, because if I'm not happy, I can't make anybody else happy.
Yeah. So if we say goodbye to your father now and take him back inside, right, rather than, and now there's this other part of you that's saying, hold on, try and work it through.
I feel a little bit more understanding of that.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like if I can nurture myself and soothe myself,
the answer will come
the
naturally.
answer will come eventually.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think you also need to tell her what you need from her. Like, what is it you need from her?
From the understanding part of me.
Well,
No,
from
is
the-
this the part that's understanding Carlo?
Yeah, I mean, this is the part that's understanding Carlo and then saying
Okay.
there is good stuff there and you
Yeah.
should, and also you were saying earlier, it's like, it'll be so disruptive if you leave, it'll be so disorganizing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, for me, my sense is you need to say to her, yeah, but I need you also to know that if it gets too much for me,
Then it's gonna. Then I know it. I need to know it's time to let go.
Yeah.
I can't end up in I don't want to end up in a bad situation.
Right. Don't hold me there longer than.
Then I have to be.
Then I can manage. That is
Exactly.
good for me.
It's gonna affect my health and affect my children.
Well,
That's like just the two most important things.
so I need you to look out for me too.
Yes, I need you to look out for me first.
First, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't want to put myself last anymore.
Yeah. Say that again.
I don't want to put myself last anymore.
Right. Let's change.
Okay.
We're going to need to end very
Okay.
soon. What do you?
Telling
What do you say?
the part that's ready to go.
Yeah, or she's saying, I've got to look out for me. I want you to look out for me first, or really, you've got to recognize my needs.
Tell her that you need to recognize my needs.
Well, it's more like, what does this part of you say? Because this part was saying, hold on. This part says, Carlos is okay.
Right. But I still feel that I should be first. Either way, I just feel like I need to be first.
Yes.
I don't want to be confused anymore about this situation. I just need to, I need to know when enough is enough and not drag it out to where it makes me sick.
Yeah.
That's just like the most important thing.
Yeah. I mean, I hope this wasn't confusing. But it's sort of like now it's like they're on two different voices.
Mhm.
It's like you're agreeing. She's saying, I need you
Right.
to look out for me, and you're saying, yes, I
Yeah.
understand, or something like that.
Yeah, it just feels like now they're
together.
together
Uh-huh.
to a certain extent.
Yeah. Because, you said you're very confused, and I understand this is a complicated, real-world decision.
Yes.
But if you're torn inside and fighting with yourself, it's draining.
Yes.
Um,
I don't want to be tired anymore.
yeah.
We're just gonna have to come to a middle point.
Yeah. I mean, the decision will eventually surface, right?
Yeah.
But what's really important is that you be able to soothe yourself and hold yourself through the stress.
Yes.
So, what do you guys think? Anything that we talked about either in the presentation or in this session that you watched, is there anything usable? Is there anything you might want to try out? Does it connect with certain things you're already doing, but you've got some new ideas about how you might adjust what you're doing? Any thoughts? Anything strike you that you liked about what was happening? What do you got, AJ?
I thought it's interesting that she's, experiencing depression and feeling no connections to any support or comfort when she's in sort of the throes of her depression.
Yes.
And rather than the therapist trying to help her find, like object ties that are concrete and physical,
Right.
he's helping her connect to a memory.
Right.
And I
Very
almost wonder
interesting.
about the danger of that. In that, did her father commit suicide?
Well, she talks about it earlier on, and he was killed in front of a train.
Okay.
And part of her thinks it was an accident, and part of her thinks he killed himself.
Right.
And so in this, she kind of explores her identification with her father, which could be he killed himself, and do I want to leave and kill myself? And Greenberg knows that, and he's working with the part of her that was a life-affirming force in her father
Right.
that's still in her.
Right.
So it's dangerous ground, but it's dangerous ground not to go there too. This is
Also,
why
yeah.
we call you jungle guides.
Right.
You know, you gotta go in there with them and walk that path with them.
I suppose I mean as that affirming force, though, rather than seeking a concrete, like helping you
Yeah,
to.
yeah, so let's say in interpersonal psychotherapy for
Right.
depression, they would have you work with your real world people
Right.
and try to sort of see how it's going in the dramatic field. It's, you know, on that triangle, it's this domain over here. What Greenberg's actually doing is I'm hearing about the stuff here, but the more powerful stuff is actually underneath, driving all this. And I want you to remember, he keeps saying this in all his sessions, I'm going to have you be that voice of your mother, but remember, this voice is in you. And he tries to kind of pull it back in case it gets too dramatic to her. He says, remember now, he's inside you. You were talking with the Father inside you. You know, so it's a great observation. Other thoughts? Nita, what do you think?
I thought he did a wonderful, amazing job in this little section of integrating the self and putting the soothing integrate.
Doing what? Putting.
Integrating the self, like all mind, body, and soul, like what she feels physically that she wants to run away. He mentioned that your body feels like running away right now. And then there is this ambivalence in the mind that she questions whether this is right or not. It's kind of the id, ego, and superego within oneself, and
Right.
bringing things together and putting in the soothing interject in her of her father. He did in such a little time. It's kind
Right.
of
It's
everything
artful.
together.
Oh, what I loved about him when I met him was I spent years and years in Austin Riggs doing a different kind of psychoanalytic psychotherapy that's very, very slow, and I was lost most of the time. Greenberg studied enough, and he has enough understanding intuitively that he's able to move very efficiently and do very powerful things in very short periods of time. And, you know, I wouldn't understand what he's doing at all if I hadn't been lost in this for years and years in other kinds of therapy. So I learned from my long work, but when I saw him, I thought, wow, he's gotten there. He's very effective. Yeah. And I had him, actually, he worked on me one time when we had him come here, and within 20 minutes, he took me to the depth of a 3-year, 4-day-a-week psychoanalysis I had had in 20 minutes. He got me right to the place and then brought me back. And it was a pretty remarkable experience, you know, from the inside. Yeah.
You know what I was thinking to say? It sounds like that this woman was extremely kind of depressed and hopeless, that she lost all the hopes, you know. And somehow he brought her to the time, you know, when her father was alive and he was giving her some strength, and it's almost kind of refreshing, reminding her memory, and brought that soothing interject back, you know, that she can quickly go back, you know, if she's feeling kind of depressed, you know, or sad, you know, she can go back, you know, to the time when she felt more safe, you know, and secure,
Right.
and kind of help her make some transition and make some decisions, feeling more kind of secure, you know, than what she is at this point
Right.
in time. So it's kind of a quick transition, almost like back and forth, you know.
Right.
I'm feeling kind of bad, you know, but now let me just kind of remind myself how I felt,
Right.
like maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know, 10 years
She's
ago.
farther along than a lot of our patients who have no
Yeah.
soothing introject.
Mhm.
She has the possibility,
Mhm.
and he discovered it and was trying to reinforce it.
Mhm.
But he had to get her to her pain at a deep enough level before that material would really work. So he wants to get to a deeper level so that that quick, fast, low road to the amygdala, she's got a narrative that's cortical that's now attached to that level of emotional experience. That's what he's trying to do.
It's almost like creating a new pathway, you know.
Right.
When I'm feeling this bad, you know, kind of how can I quickly get to another kind of mode, you know, when I was
Right.
not in connect, like this kind of bad feeling,
Right.
maybe some new ability, you know, to deal with
Right,
those issues.
and what
which
he's
is,
doing here, if you notice, if you compare when he had the neurotic woman I showed you a few years ago, neurotic level of organization, he was trying to deepen and arouse emotional experience. With this one, she gets there pretty quickly, and he's more about soothing, calming. He's a little quicker to kind of, you know, because part of the thing you want to know is when is it useful to really deepen emotional experience, and it's very powerful and the right thing to do. And when is your patient's emotions just too raw, and you better work with them on a little bit more self-soothing. So he was on the edge of more self-soothing here, and not on his arousal techniques. Yeah. What are you thinking, Matthew? Yeah.
I think he got really lucky.
He got really lucky.
I think he got really lucky.
Yeah. Because what do you think was the danger in?
I think he got really lucky because this
Yeah.
patient volunteered and just happened to have this amazing dream experience.
Yeah.
And she felt like this partner that she's been having all of this
Yeah.
strife with interrupted that narrative that she wanted to complete. And
Right.
he really just capitalized on that. And what he was able to do
Yeah.
was using this chair technique that I've never seen before, which is amazing.
Yeah.
He allowed her to complete that thought herself in her
Yeah.
conscious mind.
Yeah.
And
See,
that's how he bridged.
I would
and
add,
then,
yeah.
And then he brought it after that to like,
Yeah.
how is he gonna heal this relationship? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? He did it right, but he got lucky.
Yeah, there's always some luck, but he had 4 sessions with her,
Yeah.
and on that third domain that I told you about, the dyadic, those two people together, this guy is as good a soothing introject as ever existed. Lydia once described him as Santa Claus, you know. Who
Yeah,
wouldn't
that's
love
what
Santa Claus?
Australian.
So I think that he would conjure a dream in many of us of the wise old man, the soothing father, the ani, as Jung would say, he would be an icon for the animus in a woman, you know. So I'm just saying, the soul of the woman that's male, this guy will call up easily because of just his soothing voice, his, you know, gentleness. Yeah. What do you think, Jim?
There was just one concern I had
Yeah.
about that intervention with the dream.
Yeah.
That there was something rather Oedipal about her report that, you know, here I am in bed with my father, and my husband wakes me up, and I'm pissed at him because he interrupts this moment
Yeah.
with my father.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not talking about it really in terms of a sexual
Yeah.
press, but you know, I would just be concerned that in using the father as a soothing source, I mean, clearly, I'm sure she's idealizing him. I'm sure
Right.
he's not as wonderful as
Right.
she makes him out to be. This mentally ill man, maybe he killed himself. That would somehow interfere with her ability to move forward with the marriage. If I mean, who knows? Maybe the
Yeah.
husband is
Yeah.
a rat, but you know, that would
Yeah,
just be my
it's
concern.
something I think about. I think that, I mean, the material I thought was that he's there, she's telling him, here's if I have any hope for a soothing introject, it's him bringing me pinwheels, taking me to variety shows, telling me I'm okay when I doubt myself. So I think he was pretty safe with that, but those are the kind of things you'd wonder about.
Yeah.
Lydia, what do you
I think sometimes, you know, and I don't know enough about her background, but when people come from such intense childhoods without what they need to build a solid sense of self and to have those soothing interjects, I certainly have supported idealization of dead Uncle Joe who gave her this particular one
Right.
thing that helped her crawl, you know, it's like
Right.
pounding the pegs into the wall that help you climb up to a
Right.
place where you can make different choices in your
Yeah.
life, and I think, you know,
Yeah,
it
you
may
know,
be what he's doing,
in,
but.
in building on what Lydia's saying, 2 kind of theoretical points. One, in grief work, there's 3 tasks. So just simple grief work of a dead person. What did you love about the person? What didn't you like about the person? How are you going to feel the emotional pain of losing that person and then reinvest in life? I mean, that's the fundamental structure of doing grief work for a dead person that you love. So there's that piece. The second thing that you're touching on is Heinz Kohut's correction of Freudian psychoanalysis. And Heinz Kohut said that you need to let the person who has that deficit idealize you and not fight it. Let them idealize you, and then you will gradually make mistakes. And as you make mistakes of empathy, they'll get angry with you. And he called that an optimal disillusionment. You make a mistake of empathy, they get mad at you, and they say to themselves, you know, God damn it, you know, Sabo I thought was this great therapist. He's an idiot. I'm smarter than he is. Okay? And that he called a transmuting internalization that's needed to take the idealized figure, modify it, and make it your own. Okay? And so those are kind of two things you'd be thinking about as you played with that stuff and tried to figure out what does my patient need. Yeah. So any other thoughts? Jonathan, you have something? Yeah.
One thought, I was just thinking about her father and his imperfections, and her desire to take care of her children is really important. And maybe the fact that he was imperfect but was a very soothing presence to her,
Yeah.
maybe it could help her to view herself as imperfect but able to soothe and care for her children.
Sure. That would be a beautiful way that might work itself into therapy. Yeah. What?
It
Yeah, a couple more
seemed
things
at
we-
the end that she was stronger though.
She was stronger then.
She was
Yeah.
stronger, she said, I need, whereas in the beginning, she was saying, well, I don't know, and there's these two minds, at work.
Right.
So,
Yeah. So I mean, the ultimate measure is, does it work for this person, what I'm trying to do? It's always about what works for this unique individual. And that's what I mean by being a co-investigator. You're trying to see, is what you're doing working? Sometimes you make them worse, sometimes you make them better, sometimes they stay the same, and you have to ally with the person and the patient so that they can be the co-investigator with you. That's cool. All right, AJ, yeah.
Just quickly, as sort of a process piece,
Yeah.
having to do something with that alliance, like his use of her first person pronouns.
Yeah.
Instead of repeating when he's summarizing, like, you're telling me this about you.
Right.
He just says, I am feeling this.
Right. he
And so
kinda-
he's like embodying her,
Yeah.
sort of allowing her thought process to just continue in him.
Yeah.
And it also allowed him to give her back potential thoughts and
Yeah.
suggestions that she could just run
And
with.
you notice what he does is, just building on AJ's point, he does that, and then he says half the sentence.
Right.
And listens to the way she completes it and corrects it. So that's a very empathic process of starting something that he doesn't know exactly what it's supposed to be, but he lets her then make it what it is. It's what, I had an opportunity to see, what's his name, the famous memory researcher was out at the Cape when I was on vacation. Anyway, he's written a book, and he says that he was talking about the beholder's share, how you look at art, and the artist has created something, but it's never complete till the beholder's there and makes it what it is in the moment. Okay, Eric Kandel is the researcher. He wrote a new book, but it was about the beholder's share, which is kind of what Greenberg's doing. He's creating something with her, and he lets her keep completing it so it becomes hers. So anyway, enough for today. Hope it's useful to you. Thanks.